Virginia Beatriz Hernandez Garcia, Master of Laws in International Law. Arben Isufi, Master of Laws in International Law.
Woo!
To your commencement speaker, Horacio Gutierrez.
President Frank, Dean Frank, Dr. Chapo, and that was not a mistake, distinguished faculty, family and friends, and most of all, graduates of the University of Miami School of Law, thank you so much for inviting me to share this special day with you. It is such an honor for me to be here today. To the graduates of the class of 2018, congratulations. Almost exactly 20 years ago, I sat where you sit today, so I know how hard you've worked to get here. I realize that as you listen to me today, your head is already busy thinking about the future, wondering what challenges and opportunities it may bring. But I ask you, take a moment to let the full weight of what you have accomplished sink in. You can worry about all that tomorrow. Let today be your day of joy. And to the parents and spouses and partners of the graduates, you must rightly feel enormous pride and joy in what they have accomplished. Congratulations to you as well. Justice Scalia said about commencements that they're not for the benefit of the graduates, who probably would rather have their diplomas mailed to them at the beach, but instead for the pleasure of the families and friends. He said that it does not much matter what the commencement speaker talks about, so long as he keeps it brief, so I'll try to do so. The invitation I received for this event asked me to share my personal story and insights about my distinguished career. The first thing I did was check the envelope to make sure that the invitation was actually addressed to me. Then I thought back on my years as a lawyer, a career that, as HD kindly mentioned, started back in Venezuela, took me to the United States, from here to Europe, and then back. A journey that has given me a front seat and occasionally even a small speaking part in some of the most interesting events at the intersection of technology, law, and policy. First as a private practitioner, then with Microsoft as an in-house counsel for almost 18 years, rising from an entry-level attorney to the position of general counsel, and most recently as head of Spotify's global legal, government, and business affairs. A career that has given me the privilege of meeting and working with tech company founders and visionaries who have set out to change the world and have changed the world. And so I thought I would share with you a few lessons I've learned over the years about what it means to be a lawyer, in my case an in-house lawyer, and what being a lawyer has taught me as a person. 20 years ago, when I sat where you sit, I was exhausted. I had completed my JED in the night program while holding a full-time job at a law firm. My wife, Morella, also worked full-time, and we had 2 baby girls, Isabella and Alejandra. We named our second daughter Alejandra, but joked that instead we should have named her Rule Against Perpetuities, because she was born the night of my property law final exam. Morella had already begun having contractions by the time I left for the exam that evening, but decided that she was not going to tell me to spare me the anxiety. She was all packed and ready to go to the hospital when I returned home after the exam, and we just got in a cab and went to the hospital. I am sure many of you have similar stories, perhaps not as dramatic as that one, but all of you have had to sacrifice a lot in order to get to where you are today. As President Frank said, commencement means a beginning or a start, and that is what today is for you. For me, that commencement ceremony in the spring of 1998 marked a new beginning, one that put me on a path that took me to this podium here today. But my Miami Juris Doctor was, in fact, my 4th law degree. By the time I enrolled in law school here in Coral Gables, I already had an undergraduate degree and a graduate degree in law from Venezuela, and an LLM from Harvard Law School, which I attended thanks to a Fulbright scholarship. By then, I had also taken and passed the New York bar exam. Needless to say, my classmates were not thrilled to be graded on a curve with someone who had already practiced for 12 years, even if in a different country. For my part, I wasn't thrilled to have to go to law school 3 more years so I could sit for the Florida bar exam. But in hindsight, my experience in Miami law altered the course of my career and my life in very tangible ways. I remember, for example, how I felt when I read the Supreme Court decisions on flag burning. They moved me. There was one paragraph in Justice Kennedy's concurrence with Justice Brennan's opinion in Texas versus Johnson that got to me. It reads, "Those symbols often are what we ourselves make of them. The flag is constant in expressing beliefs Americans share, beliefs in law and peace and that freedom which sustains the human spirit. The case here today forces recognition of the costs to which those beliefs commit us. It is poignant but fundamental that the flag protects those who hold it in contempt." Perhaps the case touched me so deeply because 4 years earlier I had left Venezuela with my wife then carrying our first daughter, Isabella, as we could already feel under our feet the tremors foreshadowing the cataclysmic collapse of the democratic foundations of that country. We left behind our parents and siblings and set out to rebuild our lives in this country, and over the years watched from a distance the gradual but relentless destruction of the civil liberties of the people by the government, all while professing reverence towards the national symbols bordering on fetishism. Freedom takes a long time to acquire, but can vanish overnight, sometimes smothered with patriotic menace. A young man with an active imagination then, I used to picture myself arguing the Johnson case before the Supreme Court. From that moment on, the justices of the Supreme Court became my heroes. My own Justice League, made up of 9 superheroes clad in black robes, who share one superpower, the power to write prose. If my story teaches you anything, it should be that the fastest route to success in your career, or indeed in life, is rarely a straight line. But when the many bends in the winding road make you feel disoriented, I found that it is useful to remember who your heroes are and why. Their example can serve as your North Star. Another lesson I learned, and I learned it quickly in my in-house legal career, is that a job description, the one that they give you before you start a new job, is just a starting point. If you show curiosity and the ability to get things done and work ethic, you have the power to expand and define what your job description is over time. If changes in technology or business don't force changes in your role, your own journey of discovery of the kind of lawyer you want to be will lead you to change. Remember that when it comes to your career, you are the captain of your own ship. There will be opportunities along the way to change the course of your career. New needs will arise, new positions will open up. Use your head, but do not ignore your heart and what it tells you about the kind of professional you want to become. When I started at Microsoft, I was a corporate attorney covering Latin America, based here in South Florida. Less than 2 years later, I had moved to the company's headquarters to become a senior attorney developing software licensing programs, but was also offered an opportunity to join the legal team that represented Microsoft in the second stage of the antitrust litigation brought by the Department of Justice and some state AGs.